Welcome back to our 32 for 32 NFL preview series. I'm Michael Lipinski, and that is Brett Halpern, and this is the Goal Line Stand, and we are talking New England Patriot football. And as promised, Brett, we have added an additional screen come the time where we have to discuss opt-outs here in New England. But let's get into it. We got to start with the Patriots. Other than our old school logo up top, new era in New England, a little bit of a different change for the first time since 2000, right? 2001?
Yeah.
2001 season. We were in high school.
Yes, we were.
There is no Tom Brady.
That's crazy. We were in high school.
Think about that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There's that clip I don't know if you've seen it. It's been on social media. It's Madden 2001. It's the graphics of Tom Brady, and it's the graphics of Madden 20 of Tom Brady. And it's like, that's how long you've been around. It's craziness. But he's not there. He's gone. He left. I mean, the day was going to come. It was going to happen. But here we are.
Yeah, the fans of the Bills, Jets, and the Dolphins have waited very long. Jet fans still hate. It's amazing. You realize Jet fans still hate Mo Lewis today, who was a great linebacker for them, all because of the hit on Bledsoe that created the Tom Brady era.
That's craziness. It really is. But
I thought Mo Lewis was a great player, but anyways,
here we are. We're talking Patriots. It's going to be a little bit of a different conversation this year. So let's get into it. We know what they've been. They were 12-4 a year ago, the AFC East champs. But a lot of them coming in and a lot of going out. So let's talk about it.
I think maybe we should probably start with the departures. Just because it's very that top name's just very notable. It really is. I mean, it's the GOAT. Say what you want about him. I mean, I don't see how you can't view him as the GOAT. Tom Brady taking his talents to Tampa Bay. We'll get into this a little bit more when we get into Tampa Bay. I still thought that was a strange destination for him, but to Patriot fans, I don't think they really care where he went. You
get older. You like the warmer weather. Yeah, Florida always was a little bit too humid for me when I've gone down there. But older people from the Northeast, they tend to go to Florida. I guess that makes sense, specifically the Tampa area.
Yeah, that's true. Then I think the interesting thing is the rest of the departures, they either retired or went to Detroit, New York, or Miami, where they are former New England coaches, which is pretty remarkable when you look at that list.
That makes sense, though. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
You go, there's guys that believe in you, and maybe you only have a little bit left in the tank, and they're the ones that are going to give you the shot.
Yep, and obviously for us as Rutgers fans, the most notable there would be Deron Harmon, the former safety from Rutgers, kid from Delaware who really liked him as a player at Rutgers. I think he was actually underappreciated in New England. Made some big plays over the years. Look at their acquisitions. Bo Allen, former Philadelphia Eagle, who's still hanging tough in the league. I think he's a good depth player along the line, although because of things I think he may even have to start. Mike, you should know that second name there, Jameer Byrd, who is a South Jersey kid. I believe he's a Timber Creek kid.
Was he a Timber Creek kid?
I'm pretty sure he was Timber Creek. And then went to South Carolina. I think probably the most notable name here is Cam Newton, who we're going to discuss more. And I think it's looking more and more like he is going to be the guy for the team this year, it's pretty remarkable also to think that after Tom Brady leaves, you are replacing him with a guy another NFL MVP. granted, different kind of career than Tom Brady, but still, nevertheless, an MVP. Marquise Lee was brought in with the hopes of adding to the receiving corps, but then he opted out. I guess we're going to get to that in a second. And then Dan Vitale was going to replace James Devlin, but he opted out. So it's never-ending story with these Patriots.
Yeah, we're going to get to it, and we're going to get to it now. And when the opt-outs whole thing started, we've been very much of the opinion that you got to do what you got to do for the safety of yourself, the safety of your family. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think fans should be criticizing players or anything like that. Then, as we discussed on the Goal Line Stand on the regular podcast, which you can find everywhere you find podcasts, and the goallinestand.com, all of a sudden a bunch of New England Patriots are opting out, like quickly and fast. And Tom Brady left, and there's quarterbacks, and there's all this different things. Here's the list. There, to me, and especially on the defensive side, there's some bigger names there.
Yeah.
Is this hey guys, this is coming from Coach Belichick and his dog. Do we want to take a shot at like a Trevor Lawrence? Maybe we do whatever we got to do, and we'll get some guys to opt out. Or is this just happenstance?
I think it's happenstance because
if it's anybody else, it's like, okay, but it's New England. So
yeah. As the New England fans sit here and watch this video and start cursing at us. No, but look at that top name. Marcus Cannon is
and that's fine. If they want to curse at us, they can drop it in the comments after a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But you got to ask the question. And look, if it is Bill Belichick outmaneuvering the NFL again, kudos. I'm on the record of saying, like, the whole Spygate thing. He didn't break the rules. He bent the rules that were in place. It's not his fault that he was able to go around the rules, that he found a loophole. That's coaching.
Yeah, look, I'm still of the belief that this is an above board happenstance and just happened to be a lot more. And I base that upon the Marcus Cannon opt-out because he really was high risk as a former cancer survivor. It's just, look, this. I think either way, this team was not going to be winning the AFC East. Spoiler alert. We're going to get into our predictions at the end of our 32 for 32 series with an entire prediction show where we go over each team's record. And I'm literally going to be predicting every game for the NFL season. But I think that there were too many pieces that are missing. And now with this, there is an abundance. But I do think this is above board. I don't think this is a concerted effort. I don't believe. But when you look at the team, look at the players. Yeah, among them, Marcus Cannon, the starting offensive lineman, Patrick Chung, the starting strong safety, Donta Hightower, the starting middle linebacker, Marquise Lee, as I mentioned, was brought in to help the wide receiver class or wide receiver group. Matt Lacoste, former New York Giant, was considered the starting tight end. It shows you how the mighty have fallen from that tight end group.
Well, you're talking you're talking Dan Vitale. These are guys that in New England, just because it's a fullback, nobody uses a fullback other than New England, Detroit.
Yeah,
but it's an important piece for New England. That's the thing. It's like, okay, these are all pieces.
Yeah, and that's true. The Patriots, to their credit, use all 53 guys better than any other team. So in that sense, when anyone opts out, it's a big deal. But again, I do believe this is above board. But this to me really just makes them being competitive incredibly difficult, or as legitimate divisional threats. Let's put it that way. I don't think this puts them all the way down at the bottom of the heap, but it's going to make it very difficult for them to compete with the Bills.
It's going to bring them back. It's going to bring them back to earth a little bit, is what. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about ways they can get back from that, whenever that may be. Let's take a look at their draft, and I want to get your thought on it here. When was the last time you saw with a team's first overall pick, not not first in the draft or in the first round. In the modern past 20-something years, take a Division II guy. Can you remember? But it's not a 1AA guy that's a little bit different. We're talking Division II football.
I mean, the closest I could think is the Tampa Bay Bucks drafting Ali Marpet, but I think he wasn't their first pick that year. So I don't know. That's a great research question. By the way, anyone out there that's listening, we would greatly appreciate if you happen to know. We will definitely give you a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll throw you a free T-shirt when we get those out. They're in production. I mean, and I'm not talking lower level guys because Carson Wentz was a top pick for the Eagles and he was in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally trying to rack my brain going back 25, 30 years. Is it Jerry Rutt? Well, they were 1AA, right?
No, that's still 1AA. Yeah. I mean, I definitely know of Division II and Division III players drafted.
Sure.
But again, as the first pick of a team's draft class, whether it's a round 1 or round 2 selection, I can't. The closest I can think is Ali Marpet, he was definitely among. I think he was drafted in the second round, but again, not the first pick of that draft class. So
we're gonna review this and we will get back to you when we get the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. But nevertheless, I really like Kyle Duggar. He's an intriguing prospect. He is a kind of a do-it-all, super athletic safety. So if there's a guy who is going kind of a Swiss Army knife, and if there's a guy who is dangerous with Swiss Army knives, it's definitely Bill Belichick when it comes to defenses. Then I thought he went and got 2 really good linebackers with Josh Uche and Anthony Jennings, who will pair really well with Chase Winovich, excuse me. And so I thought those were good picks. Then he went and he addressed the tight end position. It was interesting. It was like, okay, we're going to get our safety, then we're going to get our linebackers, then we're going to get our tight ends, then we're going O-line. It was like really interesting how he addressed this. But so the 2 tight ends, actually, Dalton Keene, Mike, I don't know if you remember in our mock draft show when I had talked about prospects to watch that weren't first-round prospects, Dalton Keene was one of them. I actually thought he might go a little later, but he is, again, another Swiss Army knife. In a weird way, if you look at those 2 tight end picks, Devin Asiasi is more of the Rob Gronkowski. Not saying he is Rob Gronkowski. That same kind of build, more of the vertical stretch, but bigger guy, blocker. Whereas Dalton Keene is more of and again, not saying he's that player or person, but the Aaron Hernandez style tight end. Can be an H-back, can flex him out. A lot of positional versatility there. So it was interesting that round where they drafted those 2 style of tight ends. I also liked the 2 6th-round offensive linemen, Michael Onwenu from Michigan. Justin Herron is a good tackle from Wake Forest. It's amazing I'm saying that because he decommitted from Rutgers. He was initially a Rutgers commit. You remember that guy, Mike?
No, I honestly don't actually.
Yeah,
but was that during the early Chris Ash years?
I think this was the last. I think he was part of that first Chris Ash, so technically a Kyle Flood class.
Yeah, so that was dark times. I try to block as much as possible.
Yeah, and look, but I mean, the thing is with offensive linemen, the Patriots have, I believe, the best offensive line coach in the game in Dante Scarnecchia. So, you look at even a guy like Dustin Woodard in the 7th round. Guess what? Give Scarnecchia some time, he'll get the best out of him. So to me, even though they may not be huge names or the top prospects, that's just what he does with the Patriot offensive lineman. So all in all, I thought this was a good draft. He addressed some needs, he addressed some position groups. But to me, I think the one glaring absence was they didn't address, particularly in a draft with a historic depth at wide receiver. They didn't draft a wide receiver, and they really need one.
That's a very much a Bill Belichick kind of model, though, to not when was the last time they drafted a big time wide receiver? They get the guys. They get the piece, right? I mean,
Chad Jackson.
okay.
I think that was his name.
I don't even remember.
From Florida. He was a first round pick for them. He was a bust.
Right. So I mean, that's very much the Bill Belichick method of we're going to grab a guy. We can find somebody to get and not worry about it.
Yeah.
4 key questions here for the New England Patriots in 2020, this is going to be interesting. And we talked about it. Can Cam Newton be successful in New England? And what does that mean? What does that mean for him?
Well, I think so, particularly now, given the reports that Jared Stidham's been dealing with a leg injury.
Out for the foreseeable future was kind of what I saw. Well,
or he's limited for the foreseeable future, something like that. I think Cam Newton's the guy. I think he should be the guy. I think he can be successful. I think Josh McDaniel can adapt the offense to his kind of style. And, Cam Newton is better in the short passing game, which is really all the Patriots can do. They have no deep threats whatsoever. So whether it's, employing James White a lot in the passing game, Julian Edelman, I think he can be successful. Now, you're asking me what is successful. I think it means putting up decent stats and having them close to either a game below or above 500.
We're going to get to that when we get to it. I know.
It's a different standard.
I know. We're going to get to it when we get to our preview or our predictions at the end of this, at the end of our 32 for 32. But who would have thought we'd be talking that? Cam Newton, if he is successful, is he I don't want to call it long term because he's older, but is he the next couple year guy, next 2-3 seasons? So 3 years this year, next year, the year after, maybe kind of guy, or are they really locked in on Stidham?
Well, I think if Cam Newton can get this team into the playoffs or within a game of the playoffs where they still have something to play for that last week of the season, I think I would sign him to a reasonable contract, heavy on incentives and performance bonus stuff for 2 years, like a 2-year, $35 million contract.
So that would put him 3 years in New England.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see a scenario like that. Craziness to be thinking about it that way, but yet here we are.
Yeah.
Speaking of the offense and Cam Newton, who is the most dangerous weapon on offense for Mr. Newton? Is it Cam Newton?
Well, still taking aside Cam Newton because we've been talking about him, it's probably still Julian Edelman. Look, he is still. I don't believe he is a Hall of Famer, as some people were saying after the Super Bowl run from the year prior. But I think he is an excellent slot receiver who has come up very big in big games. And I think he still has the athleticism to compete at a high level. I'd rank number 2 as the number 2 weapon, even though I know the question only asks for 1. I'd probably put James White just because he's such a benefit in the passing game. Such a, in addition to his running style.
Yeah, I do like the way that they utilize their running backs. Not good for fantasy, but good for overall football.
Yeah, that is true.
Let's talk a little bit of defense. What is the weakest link on the Patriots defense? Or who? What and who? Is it a player? Is it a position?
I think it is just the overall lack of a dynamic pass rush. And honestly, the front 7 now, if you look at it, particularly without, like Dante Hightower, it's just not, there's no one that scares you anymore. You used to at least have 1 or 2 guys, right? They don't, Chase Winovich they're hoping can be one of those guys. And they're hoping that Uche and Jennings could come in and give a little juice to that edge rushing presence. But that front 7 is just not very impressive.
You're really asking your guys at the back end, the McCourties, Gilmore, to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
And that's just tough, regardless of how good they are. And you can there could be an argument made for how great is Devin McCourty as a player overall for the length of his career. But when you're asking them to be back there on an island, yeah, not good. But look, it's Bill Belichick. You know better than anyone a Bill Belichick defense as a Giants fan.
Yeah.
And where he came from, Bill Belichick. So if there's any way to make this successful, he's going to be the guy. So on that note, can this be a top 10 defense? We just, you shredded the front seven. We talked about who they have at the back end, even though they're aging. Jason and Devin McCourty, guys, we appreciate very much so from the real DBU when it comes back. How can they be a top 10 defense?
No, I just don't see it. There's not enough of a pass rush. You're going to have to sacrifice too much in terms of a blitz scheme in order to generate a pass rush. And I'm not even that confident that these guys are going to be that stout against the run. You've gotten rid of the Danny Sheltons and some of those other guys along the defensive line, excuse me. And that just particularly with Dante Hightower out now, that front seven is just weak. So I don't see it. And it is a tremendous secondary. Stephon Gilmore is one of the best cornerbacks. Aside from our bias towards the McCourties, they're they're just excellent pros. And Devin McCourty in particular, I think, moving to safety the way they did with him, top notch. But I just don't see it anymore. It's a shame.
It's
Belichick
crazy.
will get the most out of those guys, but it's just I don't see it.
And we are going to give you our prediction of the season when we get to the end of our 32 for 32 and our big prediction show. If you like this here program, please throw us a subscribe, a thumbs up, a like, a comment. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a wrestler, as we like to say. Follow us on social media at GL Stan Show. I'm Mike, that's Brett, and that's the end of the AFC. We're moving on to the National Football Conference tomorrow, and we're going out to Arizona. It should be fun. It's going to be a little bit warm, but it's a dry heat, so it's okay. So until then, stay safe, and we'll see you later.